Hi, thank you for joining me for today's process video, and today I'm continuing on with the Hey Little Magpie Chat and Inspiration challenges that were set for the Cybercrop. This challenge is challenge number 5 and it's by Amy, and Amy challenged us to use some fussy cut elements. So straight away I reached for my Vicky Boot in Discover and Create and cut out the feathers on the feather paper, because I had in mind that my daughter had taken a load of pictures of the gulls on Herm Island when we were there for our summer holiday last year. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to get those pictures scrapped. So I printed them off in 2x3, so all 4 photos onto a 4x6 piece of photo paper. I didn't know how to explain that then, sorry. Yes, all 4 of them onto a 4x6 sheet, and then I used the Becky Higgins, what's it called? Project Life app to put them all onto the one photo page and then print them off on my home printer. Gosh, that took a long way. So you can see I rolled on some chipped sapphire ink. I watered it down and then used my brayer to roll it onto the paper. I've pulled out one of the pattern papers from the Discover and Create paper pad. If you've watched my videos recently, you'll know I treated myself to the pad, and now I've realised that I've got 48 sheets of paper to use up. And I don't tend to use pattern paper that much, so I'm challenging myself to use some of the plainer pieces as my background paper, and it seems to be working very well so far, so I'm happy. So you can see I've just matted these photos onto the striped black and white paper. It was just a scrap I had left from a previous layout, and that really gives them a little bit of definition against that background. At this point I'm deciding that I'm going to put them horizontally along the page. I do like to do that with photos, but when I start to add the fussy cut feathers, I just can't get it to sit right. I'm just not happy with it. So I'm focusing in on the blacks and whites and greys of the feathers and some blues, but you can see I'm positioning them and I just don't like how it's going. The idea of using these feathers was to simulate the feathers that you see across the beach just strewn about, and yeah, it didn't work. So you can see I've now turned the photo by 90 degrees and I've got the line going vertically, and I'm much happier and I'm starting to form an idea. So these feathers are all going to just be higgledy-piggledy on the left hand side of the page with the photos going up next to them. You can see I'm just shifting them over because I'm realising that I'm covering up all of that inking and I don't need that much space for the feathers to be positioned. So I've just pulled out a couple of blue papers because the sky and the building in the pictures are very blue, and I'm going to add some mats behind those photos. So first of all, a torn strip down the right hand side which I'll curl up, and then that other piece that you can see on the left hand side of the screen there that I'm just touching, I'm going to cut a chunk and use that as a mat behind the photos. So just cutting it slightly wider than the photos and then tucking it behind just like that. So moving things over to the left a little bit more just so that that ink really shows, and I'll be using that later on. So now just tucking these feathers around and about. I will add texture as I glue them down to the background, but I'm really liking the way that this is looking. It did take a little bit of time to cut these feathers out, but it's given me a renewed passion for fussy cutting things because it really does stretch the embellishments in a collection, and I'm definitely more of an ephemera and embellishment and sticker user than I am paper. So I've spent a couple of evenings this week fussy cutting some of the florals from the papers as well, so that I can use them in future videos. There's a gorgeous black and white floral which I had a very happy evening cutting up. So you'll see that appearing soon enough in my videos, I'm sure. So as you can see, I'm just bending up the edges of these feathers to stick them down. I didn't want to distress the edges. I like the clean look of the edges on this layout because there's a lot of other texture on there with the torn edges of the paper and things, but just bending them up to provide some shadow on the layout works really nicely. So just about all stuck down now. I've just used glue down the central spine where I've created the crease, and then I've got to stick those pattern papers down as well because I just noticed when I glued that one down they moved. So I think I just got carried away and hadn't realised that I'd not actually stuck anything down. So just shifting the photos out of the way so I can get these papers stuck, and then I can carry on. But you can see everything's moved over to the left now. So it's like a 1/3, 2/3 layout with everything on the first third of the page, and then the other third will have the title and some other bits and pieces in the journaling. So again, just positioning these photos, deciding which order to put them in. And they're not just seagulls. There was another gull that we saw on the beach while we were at the cafe there. So just getting those layered out, and then remembering that I wanted to show that torn edge. So just adding a daub of glue underneath each one. I'm not being too precious, and overlapping where the photos have got the blank space, like the beach on that wren there, or gull. So there we go, and they're all offset. They're not straight down the page. I just like that movement that you get when you do that. So a couple of feathers, or 3 feathers on the right hand side here, just to bring them across the page as well. And as you can see, I've focused in more or less all on the blacks and whites, and there's just one blue feather at the bottom that I've used. I tried bringing in another blue one, but it's just too dark. I think I was worried about the white ones not showing up, but they do show up plenty. They look really good, and it's a subtle difference between the white and the background paper. So just rolling up those edges, as I mentioned, just to provide a little bit more texture. And I decided that I wanted a second strip here, so bringing in this slightly more greeny paper to add another strip there. I've done it too wide, so I'm just going to trim off the edge. I can use that strip again in the future. So tucking that under, and then I'll glue that down. I just felt it was there were 2 big bumps, so I just tore a little bit off that top piece just to make it a little bit flatter, so it wasn't just 2 bumps, which looked odd to my eye. And it looks a bit rough at the moment, but I should curl up those edges and it won't look nearly as rough. It sort of smooths things off when you curl things up. And I love the black showing but from the patterns behind on that one. Just a little bit more glue on that photo. So now I'm going to focus in on my title, and my title is going to be Herm Gulls. So I've pulled out this Ellie Studio stamp set. It's the Max alphabet stamp set, and they're really nice blocky letters. So I'm just going to spell out Herm Gulls onto this blue paper, the same one that I used for my mats behind the photos. And then I'm going to trim them down, another form of fussy cutting, I suppose. I'm going to trim them down into blocks, so they're like tile letters, and use those. So first of all, I'm going to stamp them on using my archival ink, just because it provides a nice crisp black edge. I'm sorry about the wobbling. It's when I'm moving the desk about, the camera moves with it, unfortunately. It's a new film setup that I've had for a couple of months, and on the whole it is great, but this movement, it doesn't like when I ink and push things down. So I just need to do one more L, because there are 2 L's in gulls, and then I can trim these down, as I say, into squares, and then I'm going to pop them onto the background using some foam pads, just to provide that shadow again behind them and a little bit of height and definition. So there's the title. Just trimming it out roughly first of all, and then I can chop it up into squares. Well, rectangles, I suppose. And I'm not being too precious about how they are, just going with it. And you can see, there they are. So thrilled with how that turned out. It's something that I'll definitely do again. I need to reach for my alphabet stamps much more. They're so convenient. And now I'm pulling in some JD3DPrint seagulls. These are very popular in the shop. I absolutely love them. So just working out how to position them on the page. I'm going to use three different designs. There are three different designs, 2 different sizes, so 6 different gulls in total in the packs that he sells, 2 of each. So that's how they're going to sit, and now I'm just going to work on getting that title down using these Sticks 2 foam pads. These are the 6x12mm ones on a roll. They're fabulous. So there they are all down now, and then I can come in with my journaling, which will go underneath that. Still fussing with that gull, but he does sit on that S in the end. So just getting those glued down into place. And again, it's white on a white background, but that white background has got a little bit of mixed media and like a chicken wire effect, so it does work really nicely. You see them probably a little bit more in real life than you do on the screen. So a little ribbon loop. I do love adding these to my layouts at the moment. Again, just providing a little bit of texture and interest down at the bottom there. And then a Flair badge that just says awesome. It's one of our canvas badges and I really like that. So now coming in with the journaling, as I say, and this journaling just reads, "These majestic beasts rule at Shell Beach and keep a beady eye on proceedings." They don't invade too much. They're not like the gulls in England who steal your chips and everything, but they do definitely watch what's going on constantly and run down for scraps as soon as they're available, but not when there are humans around. So this is from Set Sail Printables from Hey Little Magpie. It's a little anchor, so I've just added an epoxy dot on top to make it into an epoxy flare. And now I'm just going to add some blue splatters to finish off. So again, reaching for that chipped sapphire ink, and I'm just helping some of the dots with my paintbrush just to make them a little bit bigger. I wanted it to really provide some impact in that bottom right hand corner. So just helping that along. Nearly done. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. Please do go and check out the challenges over at Hey Little Magpie, and I shall see you again very soon. Thanks again. Bye.